Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. So my 2021 garden tomatoes were started mostly from seed, and the majority of them came in ripened at different times. So I didn't have a lot of ripened tomatoes at the same time. So with that, I was able to process as I went. It was coming in smaller batches, and I wasn't necessarily overwhelmed by the harvest that particular day or that particular week or whatever. But so I was able to process as I went. This year's garden, however, was completely different. First of all, my seeds didn't do very well. So what I did was I got plants from the nursery and a friend that she had started, she had done success with. And this year's harvest, which you're seeing now, is some of them, was like a bumper crop. There was so many ripened at the same time. I was really overwhelmed. So what I did with my this year's tomatoes, as they ripened, I bought them in the house, and I actually cored them, scored the bottom of most of them, and I put them into my freezers. Now that took up a lot of space because I was having space issues to begin with. So we bought a chest freezer for the first time in all our married life. So that was a first. So this is what came out of my freezer for tomatoes this year. So today I'm going to be starting the process of processing these tomatoes. Now they are frozen, so one great side effect of that is that the skins easily peel off of them. Before I would have had to blanch them and do that route, but this is a much easier way if you can stand the cold. As you can see, they are still quite frozen even after being under the freezer for a day. Okay, so it's the next morning, and I have all my tomatoes separated out in what product I want to make with them. So this one is, I cored them, peeled them, and this is going to become my pizza sauce, and this is in the crock pot, and I'm going to put the rest of the ingredients with it. I'm just letting them, because they are still frozen, which is amazing because yesterday they sat out all day, and I put them in the fridge overnight, and then I pulled them out probably about 2 hours ago, and they are still frozen. So I'm gonna let them sit, kind of acclimate a little bit, throw off whatever water comes out of them before I start actually putting them on to process. So just get that cover back up. This is my like medium sauce stockpot. And these are going to become my diced tomatoes. I actually started cutting them up already. And once again, I'll pour off whatever water comes off of them, because can you see that? They are still frozen as well. And then over here, I have my biggest stock pot here. And it's full to the brim. And these are not peeled, as you can see. I don't really, for this product, which is going to be spaghetti sauce, and I'm going to blend it afterwards, I don't really feel the need to peel my tomatoes because it's all going to be blended down at the end anyway. So yeah, I just saved myself that added extra step. And here I have some more Dice these depending on how many jars I get of diced tomatoes. I might need some extra ones just to fill up some jars, so that's what I have here. If I don't need that for diced tomatoes, they would go either in the pizza sauce or the pasta. And this container, if I can get it open one-handed, has my skins in it. And I will be dehydrating these and making tomato powder out of them. And then I have somewhere around here, these are my peppers going into my spaghetti sauce. I have green and some yellow and orange as well to go in here. Spices and everything into, this is the pizza sauce. So whatever ingredients, spices and stuff you like to add to yours, do that. This is what I do. Anytime a recipe calls for sugar, tomato products basically, I add in a bit of grated carrots. I cut down on the sugar a little bit and add in some grated carrots, and it adds to the sweetness without all that sugar. So yeah, so this is the pizza sauce, and let me show you the spaghetti sauce and the diced tomatoes. So here is the pasta sauce, and as you can see, it's already started to cook down. It's not even been on there for 5 minutes even. So yeah, everything is starting to cook down already. There's some frozen onions. I didn't have any enough fresh, so these were out of the garden last year, and that's, I had a gallon size bag left, so I used all them up, and then I used what I had left fresh. And all the other spices and everything are in. Again, I did some grated carrots and then just cut down on the brown sugar that I put in there. So while these are cooking away, I'm going to be processing my diced tomatoes. Now there's some warm water I just poured over them because they were still frozen after being out for about 3 hours, just sitting, getting to room temp. There was still some frost in there, some frozen pieces, and yeah, I just put some warm water over them, and I'm going to drain that off. And that's what I drained the liquid off of all of them after they defrosted. And I'm gonna get my diced tomatoes processed. I'm gonna be doing, as I go along with the pizza sauce and the pasta sauce, I'm going to strain off the liquid that comes off of that and can it as tomato juice. And once I get that strained off, or just ladled off, I'm going to add my strained tomatoes to thicken up the sauce that way. It did call for tomato paste, but I think I'm going to use this instead. I do have tomato paste in case I want it a little bit thicker. So those are the two things I'm going to be doing to my pasta sauce and my pizza sauce that I have here in my slow cooker. Okay, so I have my jars here sanitizing in the oven, so they are warm, and I'm just jarring up my diced tomatoes. I put my lemon juice and my salt in first so I don't forget it, because if you forget your lemon juice, that's really bad. If you get your salt, that's not so bad, but lemon juice definitely, because you can't water bath this without the lemon juice. So I put a tablespoon of lemon juice because I'm using pint-sized jars, and a half a teaspoon of salt. Now today I'm using the Redmond's real salt. I also have pickling salt. That's not what I'm using today, but I have it. You can use either one. I've used both, and turns out either way pretty good. I am putting some dried basil in mine. This is some dried basil from last year's garden, and just trying to use up all my pantry things, not necessarily using them as far as eating them, but we will be eating these soon. I just needed to get these out of my freezer just in case I needed that space, and I needed to process my tomatoes anyway, so this is a part of it. So I'm just gonna finish up canning or putting them in the jars, and I'm probably gonna get 2 batches out of this with the other tomatoes that I have. So I'm making sure I debubble, really important. And then once I do that, I'm going to add some more hot water. I've already added some hot water in here. I'm going to top them off with some hot water out of my kettle, just to 1/2 inch headspace. And then I'll come back and of course wipe my rims and make sure they're nice and clean. Okay, just making sure I'm wiping off my rims really cleanly. Just making sure everything is nice and clean. That's my last two. I'm gonna put on my lid. See if I can do this one-handed. And then I'm going to put on my ring. If I can do this one-handed. Doing one-handed things is crazy when you've been used to doing it two-handed. So you want to turn it fingertip tight, and that's it. So I'm going to get the rest of these on and get them into my canner, which is my stainless steel stock pot. So into the pot they go. This holds 6, and I think I have enough for one more batch. And it's just a big old stock pot that I have, and you want it enough to cover the lids or the jars at least by 1 inch, and this works perfectly. So just to double check and make sure, I'm going to check it, and that is the 1 inch mark, and see it is way above, well, not way, but above the rim of the top of the jar. So 1 inch of water, you see where it is? That's it. And it's above that. So it just fits. So this is what my pasta sauce looks like after it's reduced down. It's probably reduced down about half of the way. And I did take out 7 pints of liquid out of here that I made into tomato juice and just canned it. And I will put this in the blender, either use an immersion blender in it or put it in a regular blender and blend this up. I did not skin my tomatoes that went in here. You can see the skins there. So I don't mind skins and I don't mind the seeds. So I'm going to just blend this up and jar it up like I did the diced tomatoes. Here is the pizza sauce in the crock pot. And it's nicely reduced down as well, not as much as the other one. But what I do to get some of the liquid off, I'll show you for this one. I just take my ladle here, and I try not to get all the stuff, you know, the other stuff in there, but I mean if it goes in, that's fine. But I try to do as much liquid as I possibly can. And I'll here I have my sieve, and it's in a measuring cup, and I just funnel the liquid through, and it separates out the liquid, and that's how I get my tomato juice, just to thicken this up some. And I am gonna put some of that strained tomatoes that I have, that's right there, in here. And this, once you've got it strained out as much as the liquid as you can, you take this and you put it back in here. You don't throw this away. This is all the goodness and the spices and the herbs and all that. You want to put that back in your whatever you're making. So again, I just strain out as much liquids as I possibly can, well, in the ladle, and then I'm probably gonna get maybe 2 pints out of this. I'm not expecting to get a whole lot out of this one because there wasn't that much to begin with. So yeah, probably about 2 pints out of the pizza sauce, because I want this thicker than the pasta sauce. So that's how I do this.
So I've decided to use my food mill to filter all the seeds and skins out of my pizza sauce as well as my pasta sauce, and it's nice and thick and smooth now.
So I just want to show you what this is the pasta sauce looks like. Sauce. And now let me show you the pizza sauce. Considerably thicker, but still, you can see it's considerably thicker than
the pasta sauce is. So get this jarred up, and then I'll be finished with my tomato harvest from last garden. So now I'm jarring up my pasta sauce here, and I am making sure my lemon juice goes in. For this one, I am not adding any salt to the jars. There's already salt in the recipe itself, in the product itself, so I don't need to add any to the jars for this one. With a teaspoon of lemon juice. At least my pizza sauce going in, I put them in these half-pint jars because that's how we use them. When I make a dinner of pizza or something, this is just enough for what we need. If I make more, then I just pull out 2. But if we're making like a quick lunch, somebody just wants to make 1 or something like that, then 1 is a perfect size, and maybe a little bit left over that we can put in fridge, and it doesn't get wasted because things do get pushed to the back. So this is the pizza sauce. Of course, I put in my lemon juice, and it works out great this way. So whoever I send down to the cold room can quickly know the difference between pizza sauce and spaghetti sauce. So that's another reason why I do it in half pints. So in my batch of pizza sauce, I had a jar that failed. The bottom actually exploded off the bottom of this jar. And yes, I did have a rack in it. There is a rack in the bottom of the stock pot, so it's not that. Is what 18 gallon size bags of tomatoes and 2 quart bags of tomatoes can get you. This is the pasta sauce. I got 12 of those, so those turned out really nicely. I didn't have any problems with any of those jars. This is my pizza sauce, and I had 12, but 1 was missing because 1 broke that I showed you in the canner. I don't know what happened to the jar. It looked fine when I was using it, but I guess those are the breaks, so to speak. Yeah, pun intended. So this is the pizza sauce, and I like to put it in the small containers, like I said, because we probably go through 1 of these for a meal. So if I have to do more than a couple of pizzas, then I'll bring out more. We don't like a whole lot of sauce on our pizzas, and that's just the way we like it. Maybe you like a lot of sauce, and it's easier if I send somebody down and I say it's in the smaller, shorter jar, and they can pick out the pizza sauce more readily than, say, the pasta sauce or even the tomato juice and the diced tomatoes. In the tomato juice, I got 13. 1 is missing because it didn't seal. I put it in the fridge, and I'll use it in the next couple of days. I don't know why it didn't seal, but 1 out of this whole batch is fine. Actually, 2 out of this whole batch is fine. And then diced tomatoes, I got 1 that didn't seal, and I got 7 of those. So 1 that didn't seal, I put it in the fridge, and I'll be using that. Probably make soup or chili or something out of it. But yeah, I am so happy with what I got. And I am so glad my tomatoes are harvest from last year's garden, because I have that freezer space just in case I got a good deal on meat. So this is what I'm gotten up to. It took 3 days from the time I took it out of the freezer to the time it's sitting on my counter here, ready to be labeled and put into my cold storage pantry. The thing I did get from my tomatoes were the skins, and I just dehydrated them. They're here. I just pushed them into the bottle. I will powder them. That's just the way I'm going to store them for now, and when I get around to powdering them, I will do that. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos.